Welcome to This is Nampa Jr. I am Amanda Bizeau-Nicol, and I am here with Ezequiel Luna. We are talking about a lot of the technology that is to be found and that helps us out here at the library. So Ezequiel, I just want to ask you at first what you do here at the library.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. I am the circulation manager for the Nampa Library. I've been at this job for about 3 years, but I've been working for the library for 17 years. So,
do you have a favorite part about your job that you love best?
I love all of it, to be honest, but part of what I like about circulation is that even though we don't do programming in our department, we kind of get to see what people are checking out and interact with them as far as, you know, what they want to put on hold, what they want to get. And so we have good conversations with our patrons, which is a good way of building that community. So
very cool, very cool. So let's get into talking about some of the technology things. There are a lot of technology and STEM opportunities in the library. Did you know when you started this job, when you first started, like not even in circulation, that you would work so heavily with technology?
Yes and no, because when I started, of course, you know, as far as technology goes with registers, with computers and such, I always knew I'd work with that because originally I wanted to be a teacher. And so I have a degree in education from the University of Idaho. Okay. And part of that, they have different technology courses for what you'll be using in the classroom. So I did know that I would be using technology. To the extent that I use it here as far as knowing how to use our automated materials handler, I did not know about that because when I first started, of course, everything was returned through a Dropbox. And so seeing the day when we would have a machine that took all that in and sorted it into different locations for us, I did not anticipate that. So yes and no.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty believable. Who knew that we would have something that's fancy in our library? What would you say that kids need to know about preparing themselves for a STEM career or to use technology in a future job?
That is a good question. I think that later on you'll be interviewing our technology manager, so we'll probably have a lot more to say about that. But just as someone who uses technology, video games, you know, I've always thought that kids should play video games. I'm of the opinion that they should play a lot of video games because it prepares them for a world of using technology. Mike, who's our technology manager, and I were having a discussion earlier about Minecraft, things like that, where you're building mods, where you're doing different things like that to prepare you for a field in which computers are essential to accomplish the work that we have. So,
wow. Yeah. Some kids would really love to hear that, I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Do you have any classes you might recommend taking, like in high school level, to prepare for technology-based work?
Anything to do with technology, take it. Anything that you can put your hands on a computer. I'm sure, you know, they have classes on how to develop programming, how to do different things like that. Whatever you can do, take that if your interest is in working with technology. And honestly, any job you have nowadays will more than likely involve technology. So the more you can get exposed to that in high school or before that, do it.
Do you have any hobbies or experiences you would recommend if our youth enjoy STEM fields?
I like Minecraft and Among Us now. I mean, that's a great game, which I enjoy. Me and my sons play that a lot online. So that's the only thing. For me, my main hobby is reading. But yeah, video games and things like that. So very
cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for this time.
Thank you.
All right. So Mike, thank you for being here to answer these same questions that I have for you.
You're very welcome.
First of all, I'll ask you the same thing. What do you do here at the library?
I'm Mike Sloan. I'm the Public Technology Manager at the Nampa Public Library. So what that means is anything that you see, all the technology that the public uses, I'm responsible for setting it up, making sure that it works, fixing it when it's broken, choosing new stuff, and everything in between.
And what would you say is your favorite part of your job?
I love fixing problems, which is fantastic for my job. I like it when something doesn't quite make sense and I get to look at the problem, figure out why it does that, and fix it. Technology is a perfect medium for that.
It's a perfect fit. Yeah. Since there is so much technology and STEM opportunities here at the library, did you know when you first started here that you would work so much with technology?
I did not. When I was a kid, I always loved technology. I loved finding the new stuff, learning how it worked. I was the kid that when we bought something, I would open up and read the manual on the way home because I couldn't wait to start it, but I wanted to start even before I could push the button. So it's something I always loved. When I started at the library, I was a library page, so I shelved books. Books don't have a lot of technology. especially when I started. But as I've done, I've just kind of done more and more of that and got the job that I have today.
Yeah, very cool. So what would you say kids need to know if they're preparing for a STEM career or to use technology in a future job?
I'd say learn as much as you can. Don't be afraid to take something apart, as long as you think you can put it back together. Sometimes you won't be able to, but that's honestly how I learn most things. I see something, I pull it apart to see how it works and put it back together. You learn so much by doing that.
Yeah. So, and you can start from anywhere.
You can.
Too. Do you have classes that you might recommend that kids take in high school to help prepare?
Yeah, definitely. I would say find what you're interested in. Try a lot of different things. If you like it, keep going. If you find that you have a natural aptitude to it, you love physics, take more advanced classes, do that. The skills you learn will translate no matter what you end up doing. Don't try to get too narrow and go, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take classes to do that. Find out what you like doing.
Okay. Do you have hobbies or experiences that you would recommend youth try out?
Kind of, again, if you enjoy doing something, do more of that. Find other people who like doing what you do. If you like video games, find a community of video game players. Find the video game you like. Make mods. See what you can do to give back to the community. You like Minecraft, make your own Minecraft maps. You like robotics, find a robotics club, something where you can compete, find other people, because the more people you can get doing something, the more fun it is.
All right, well, thank you for this time. Those were some great interviews that we just had with Mike and Ezequiel. So now let's go around the library and check out some of that technology that they were talking about. Tell us about this machine, Ezequiel. Can you tell us what it is and how it works?
I can. So this is Sven. It's an automated materials handler. So we call it Sven. It comes from Denmark. We had a contest to see what we should name it, and because of its background, that was the name that was chosen. Patrons can return their items, and rather than the material being returned to a drop box, it actually comes through conveyor belts, which you can probably see behind me and to the side. And an RFID tag that is within the book or the DVD or whatever material it is tells it where to sort the item. And so this makes it easier for patrons in the sense that once they return it, the item is automatically checked in as soon as it comes through the tunnel. It makes it easier for staff because it sorts it into bins rather than the old way with a drop box. We would have to open up the box, reach in and empty out the material manually. Here it just drops into a bin, and then we gather it up and put it on carts, which then other staff members will sort it and shelve it. So
what would be like the best benefit, do you think, for the staff now that you have this machine?
The best benefit for staff, I would say, is just in the time that it saves. Again, mentioning how we used to empty out the drop box, it saves time by sorting it for us already. So just to give a little bit more detail beforehand, page staff would have to go into the drop box and then sort of roughly sort material into collections. Sven already does that for us. So it saves a lot of time in that. Also, there's no cramped area in which we have to reach in to get material. It's just, as you can see, all the material falls into these bins and it's ready for us to take out.
Very nice. And would there be a benefit for patrons, do you think?
Yes. Not only does it check it automatically, one of the concerns from patrons before was that when they return items into a drop box, it's not checked in because it's just a box. And so they might wonder whether they returned everything. They might wonder whether anything is still due. In this case, once it comes through Sven, it is checked in so they can look on their account, they can get a receipt, they can get verification that they returned it, so it makes it much easier for patrons as well.
So could you tell me a little bit just about how you maintain Sven, like how you take care of him?
So when we have to do regular maintenance, what we do is we have one that's already taken apart here, but down here, we vacuum out all the inside from all the dust that's been gathering there. We use a spray cleaner and some towels to clean the rollers on top here. And then every now and then we might have to adjust some of these little bands right here. But that is the basic cleanup that we do as far as maintenance goes. You can see over here, this is what it looks like normally, and this is what it looks like when we're cleaning it right here. So what we can do is put this back together, and then I'll show you how we run things through Sven and how it goes into the different bins. So Mike is putting this back together for us, as you can see. All right, and the last step is right there. I'd have been jumping over the machine to get those pieces. So Sven has 4 different areas where you can return material from. We have 2 places for the patrons from the inside to return. And then we have 1 for outside of the building when we're closed. And that is over here to my left. You can see the returns over here, as well as the conveyor belt. And so this is the staff induction. This is where when we are running items ourselves here, we just push the button and you can see it starts the conveyor belt. And then all we do, because these do have RFID tags on them, we just put them on here. As soon as it reads it, we send it through. And then if you want to look at how it's sending them through the correct areas there, it's just reading the RFID tag, and that's how it knows exactly where these items need to go. So, all right. So what happened there was it didn't read it completely. And so this item just stopped in the middle and it stopped everything. So I just need to grab it and reset it and then restart. So what happened is it didn't read it quite fast enough and I just pushed it through. So that's telling me, don't go so fast. So I will do that. There we go. All right. Then we stop it when we're done. And if we do forget to stop it, it does stop automatically after a few minutes. So.
All right, Ezequiel, can you let us know what technology is right before us here?
Indeed, I can. So these are our security gates for the library. Mm-hmm. So if anybody leaves without checking something out properly, or hopefully this never happens, but if someone tries to steal something and just walk through the gates without having checked it out, this will alert us to that fact. So here I have a book, for example, that has not been checked out, has not been desensitized. So if I walk over here, you can see the light and that noise that it makes. Mm-hmm. So that alerts staff, either here at the welcome desk or over at circulation desk, that alerts us that something is being taken out without being checked out properly. And so then we talk to the person, usually it's someone that used the self-checkouts mm-hmm. and just didn't check it out properly. So 99% of the time, it's not someone trying to steal. It's just it wasn't checked out properly. The other thing it does, we have a window that pops up at the circulation desk that tells us what the item is, or it gives us the barcode depending on the item. But that way we can go to the person and say, oh, do you have, in this case, do you have Pippi Longstocking? And they'll say yes, and then we'll check that it's actually checked out to them, and then we let them go. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very useful to have in the library.
It is indeed.
All right. So we are here with our new self-checkout system. Mike, would you care to demonstrate and explain how our new system works for patrons?
Yeah, definitely. So these are our brand new self-check system. The way these work is you bring up your library card, just like this. You scan it on the barcode, and it will connect to your account. It'll ask you to place the items on the checkout bed. So you pick up your item. You put it in the spot right here. It's going to read the RFID tag and then check out the item for you. So all of our items in the library, I know we've talked about RFID a lot. We have RFID security tags in the back, and these are radio frequency identification tags. We program all of the books in the library with the barcode of the book into that tag so that all of our technology can read it without having to scan every barcode. That helps make everything as touchless and as easy as possible. Then we will print out a receipt. We have checked out this book and we have a receipt.
Okay, so now that we've seen it in action, I want to ask, how are these new self-checkout machines better than the old ones that we had in the building?
Definitely, Amanda. So these are much more user-friendly. I think they're much easier to use. But the biggest improvement over our previous self-check machines is the RFID pad. We have a much stronger RFID pad on these machines, and they can do up to 10 items at a time. So we have a lot of families that check out 60 or 70 items at a time, and when you have to do one at a time, it takes a long time to check out. Now you can do it in small little batches. So let me demonstrate that. So instead of one book, we're going to pull a lot of books. We're going to scan our card, just like we did before. It's going to connect. We're going to place the items on the pad. And it just checked out all of those items just like that.
Very cool.
We're going to say done. And then we have several options for receipt. We can either do print receipt, we can email, we can actually send it to a brand new cloud library app, or we can do no receipt. So I'm going to email the receipt to me.
Lots of friendly options. Very nice. Okay, so here we are with another form of technology the library owns. Mike, can you tell us about this 3D printer, what it is and how it works?
Okay, so 3D printers are one of the coolest new technologies around. 3D printers are just like normal printers, except for instead of printing flat pieces of paper, they print three-dimensional objects from the bottom up. So 3D printers work by taking a scan of an object, either designed on a computer or scanned by a 3D scanner that takes a lot of pictures from every angle of the item and then makes a 3D design out of it. So we take that 3D design and we put it into our computers through a program called a slicer program. What the slicer program does is it takes that 3D print and slices into a lot of little tiny layers. So there could be thousands of these layers depending on how big the print is. After the program is done, we upload it into our printers and it starts printing each of those slice layers one at a time. It starts at the bottom and goes to the top. 3D printers can print almost anything because of the way they're designed. So all of our printers use PLA plastic. So this is our 3D printer. So this is the plastic we're using. This is called PLA plastic. We use PLA plastic because it is a very easy to work with plastic. It's very flexible. It prints very well, but it doesn't have a lot of fumes. Some plastics are very smelly and we'd actually have to use special ventilation to use in the library because it's toxic to people to be around. So this is a very good printer. So the way the printer works is we have our roll of plastic. It feeds through this piece right here. This is a feeder. This tells the machine how much material to go into our nozzle. The plastic feeds all the way through this tube to this nozzle right here. This nozzle gets to about 220 degrees Celsius, which is 428 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is very hot and it'll burn you very fast. So when we print, it prints those layers and goes from the bottom to the top. So right here we have a print that's almost done. It's a dragon. I don't know if you can tell yet, but it's just working on the head. This part right here where you see that grid, that is called the infill. So printers can print things that are very strong or very hollow. So the more infill you put, the more strong something is. You can do a hollow print, but then you could crush it in your hand. But if you do this, you can go solid or that. The more infill you do, the stronger it is, but also the longer it takes to print. And I'm going to restart this so you can kind of see how it works. So you can see that nozzle is printing and it's just printing those layers. That's one layer. Now it's working on another layer and just started the next layer. So every layer is very, very small, but when it builds on top of it, it makes a full print. We use plastic PLA printers here, but they have 3D printers for almost everything. So they have big 3D printers that use concrete and they can build 3D printed houses, or they have 3D printers that can use food and you can actually eat the things they print.
That is incredible. So what would be the purpose of a library owning a 3D printer?
That's a very good question. So the library has several 3D printers available for people to use. The reason we have those is because this is still a very expensive technology. This printer costs a little over $2,000. It's a little too expensive for everyone to have in their house. So we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to use, design, and print your own things. So we have several printers you can come and use.
Okay. So what is this machine and what is it used for?
So this is our digital photo scanner. So what this machine does is it takes boxes of old photographs, physical photographs like these, and it digitizes them and puts them into a digital format that you can either put on a USB drive or email or do various other things with that. So you can use them on your computer and make them much more flexible. Let me show you how it works. So you touch here to begin. You get to choose which way you want to do it. So we're going to choose USB. Put the USB drive into the slot. Going to detect it. We're going to choose color. We're going to do JPEG. And we're going to say next. It's going to ask which scanner we're using. We want one side. We're going to put our photos in, face down. And we're going to say scan. So the machine's going to start scanning them. And as you see, as it scans, you'll see them on the screen.
What a neat machine. How cool.
When we're done, we'll click deliver and transfer.
All right, so now we have this little machine here. Can you tell us what this is, Mike, and what it's used for?
Again, this is the library's microfilm reader. So microfilm is our images of old newspapers from 100 years ago or more. We have papers from 1905 on here at the library. With microfilm, they take a picture of each page of the newspaper and they put it on these film strips. We load the film strips into this machine and there's a light behind there. What the machine does is it shines the light up through the film into a camera that displays it on the screen. So I've loaded one for us. So we've put one on there, we slide it back, and you can see, here's our newspaper. So the one I chose today is a newspaper from 100 years ago. This is the newspaper from Nampa, Idaho on November 4th, 1920. And you see right here, they were also doing a presidential election. Amazing to see how much has changed and how much is exactly the same. So.
Awesome. So where can they find this in the digital photo scanner in the library?
So both the digital photo scanner and the microfilm reader are located on the 3rd floor in the library in our history room. If you come up here, you can make an appointment and use them.
We are here now with Emily Romero, our youth services librarian, and she's going to talk a little bit about the technology we have for families and kids that are available for both checkout and at our programs. So Emily, would you share a bit about these little critters in front of us?
Yeah, here at the library, like Amanda says, we've got lots of technology for checkout for kids and families, and also during our programs. And some of those fun technologies include a wide variety of robots that we use here. So all of these are different robots that we have here at the library. These two right here are Sphero robots. This is our Dash robot. He's pretty cool. This is a Kamigami robot, and this is our Caterpillar robot. So most of these, other than the Caterpillar robot, you can use and control with an iPad or a cell phone or some kind of device that's connected to the internet. They all sort of talk with your device through Bluetooth, and you can sort of use it like a remote control. But here in the library, we use a lot of these to teach kids how to code and practice coding. They're really good tools for that. The Caterpillar is for much younger kids in our sort of preschool, kindergarten age range, and it's also a coding tool. So a lot of the robots here are really useful for learning about technology, learning about programming and coding and sort of analytical thinking. All right, so this is our Caterpillar robot. He comes in a lot of different pieces like this, so kids can kind of play around with which parts they want to attach to the Caterpillar body. And each little piece has a direction that will signal to the Caterpillar robot body which direction it wants to move or what action it wants to take. So it's a really good way to practice coding for the younger kids. And I'll show you an example here. So we've got each of its joints has a different direction or sound that it's going to signal to the robot to do. So if you just press your play button here, and you're allowed to make sure it's on. And here we go. Let's see what he does. So it's signaling that he wants to go straight, and in a second it'll change to the next signal. All right, so now he's turning. Turning again. So it's a really great interactive way for little guys to learn how to code and practice that kind of thinking. And that's your Caterpillar.